Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Summer Meyers. I'm a homeschool mom of 5 kids, and I homeschool all of them. So today we're going to be talking about, is it possible to homeschool a bunch of different kids of different ages at the same time? And I guess people would assume, yes, it is possible. But the question is it possible for you? And I'm here to tell you, Mama, yes. Yes, you can do it. Trying to homeschool with a bunch of different age kids is not for the faint of heart, and it does take some planning, coordinating, flexibility, and some willingness to set ideas of how you perceive life is going to be to the side, depending on what season of life you are at. But I've got some ideas. I've got some practical tips. The thing with homeschooling multiple children is that expectations need to be set clearly. It's very easy to lose track of which kid is where when you're just the one person and you're trying to bounce a bunch of balls at once. I totally get it. So if your children have a clear expectation of what their work should look like at the end of the day, a clear expectation of what they should be doing during their downtime while they are waiting for your attention, a clear expectation of what the schedule is going to look like, first this and then this and then this, and then we have lunch, and this is what I expect you to do during those times, there's a lot less frazzle, and there's a lot less, I wouldn't say disobedience, but just a lot less confusion, because they know what to expect. And sometimes it needs to be written out in a schedule. If you've got really littles, it needs to be practiced several times in a patient and calm way, because it takes a month or two for kids to get that. But with clear expectations, that gives your child a sense of security, especially if there seems to be a lot of chaos going on in your home with multiples. If they know this is what I am to expect when I'm doing my schoolwork, or this is what I need to expect while mommy is doing school with the older kids or whatever, there's a lot easier flow when a life happens. I also like to stagger my kids when they're coming in. I have a great video on how I plan and schedule my kids, and I typically have them staggered in. I get one kid started on an activity or workbook or whatever, and then while they're working on one side of me, I get another one started. And then I kind of just bounce back between the two of them. And then sometimes, depending on the workload and what that day looks like, I can even add a third, and I can work around on that tabletop. Sometimes this does not work because their independent work goes really fast on some days. And for those, I have a basket filled with things that they can do in the meantime, so they don't just take off while they're waiting for mom to pay attention to them. These are flashcards. These are simple games that they can play. They are sometimes memory work or little workbooks that are kind of fun for them to doodle in or whatever. And that is something that they can work on their own while they're waiting for me to come back and give them attention. Another tip that I have is reverse planning. So I have multiple children that I am homeschooling. I am about to add another one in this upcoming year, and being able to reverse plan and write out everything that we have already done has saved my sanity, as opposed to trying to keep up and plan out each individual child. And that also gives me a daily check-in reminder of this is where we are at, because we've already done it, right? Instead of looking into the future being like, okay, this is what we have to do next week, and then forgetting what you have to do. Maybe I'm the only one that has that problem. Another thing to consider when homeschooling multiples is doing year-round homeschooling. Sometimes just trying to do the traditional calendar year where you're doing from September to May, or August to June, or whatever that is not quite enough time as far as breaks, as far as burnout, which are all real things. So doing a year-round school where you are focusing more intensely on a couple of students at a time throughout the year and getting them through different workbooks or whatever is very effective way of homeschooling. So if you have a lot of kids that you're trying to track in and out with their schoolwork, consider doing a year-round schooling where you can track them in, or you can do the lessons in little shorter spans of time and you have more time to complete it. So there's a couple of things when homeschooling multiples that you want to think about and consider when you are preparing for a new homeschool year, specifically buying curriculum. So not only do you want to make sure you're matching your child's homeschool learning style, which I'll have a card for that, figuring out your learning style. If your curriculum is too teacher intensive, it's going to be that much more difficult to arrange around all of that. But I'm going to say ahead that I do have English and math as rather teacher intensive. I like working one-on-one with my kids when it comes to those particular subjects because I think it helps them learn better. And also I like setting a priority that my kids get one-on-one time with me, and doing it while they are learning has helped tremendously. And it gives them a sense of like mom is paying attention to them. So yes, make sure that your curriculum will facilitate a large family lifestyle, but don't necessarily shy away from a more teacher-intensive curriculum because you have a large family. Sometimes those types of curriculum can help build and bond a relationship between the two of you. So keep those things in mind. When I am looking for curriculum, I make sure that we are doing science, history, geography. I focus on those as kind of a large group effort. So I make sure that I buy a history program that will work for early elementary age kids as well as middle school children. And that is quite the range. And most history curriculums I have found have additional activities, additional resources to kind of match that range, because typically homeschool families have a range. And not only that, I think it helps facilitate learning because children of a younger age are more interested in asking questions than the older children tend to be more quiet and accepting of information, at least in my experience. And so mixing the two of them engages in more dialogue and more discussion. And so that's not something to shy away from. Another thing with schooling with multiples is if you have bigger aged kids, absolutely get them involved in schooling with their little siblings. So frequently for our math curriculum, we have games that we play to help with their learning. And if I can't sit there right now because I have other children that need attention, I'll have a big kid come and they'll play the games with them. And that's good recall for them. It's good practice for them. It's also teaching service to their younger siblings. And it's also good for their siblings to interact with each other on a positive level. And a game is a great way to do that. So don't be afraid of including your big kids in the teaching and learning of their younger siblings. Sometimes it's really good for them as a refresher on what an adjective is, or how do you long divide, or whatever the heck. Another thing to consider also when you're schooling multiples is getting the dad involved. Having dad involved in teaching a certain particular subject that interests them, or getting involved in your homeschool, is so beneficial for children to see their fathers actively engaged in what they are learning and being interested in wanting their learning. And sometimes it helps facilitate better learning because they've got a different teacher involved. Another thing that I love to do is homeschooling outside. I feel like being outside helps with not just noise level, it helps with keeping your house clean, but just, being at a playground and then calling kids one at a time while the others are playing on the playground. It's a great treat for them. It's a fun day out. And they also tend to learn better. At least my children do. When we are outside, there's something about being outdoors that just gets them in the mode of doing things a little bit quicker and absorbing information a little bit faster. And so I love bringing our schoolwork with us when we go outside on our hikes or nature walks, or when we go to the playground or whatever, because we tend to get our work done faster when we do. It's important, if you do not want to be interrupted multiple times during the day by multiple different children, is that they feel recognized, that their love tank is filled up. So with babies, I love to hold them and snuggle them while we're doing school because that makes them feel more secure. With little toddlers, I make sure to spend quality time with them, doing an activity physically with them. And that makes them feel like mom has set personal time aside for me, and now I can go and do something else. So that helps with dividing it because they already feel fulfilled. The same thing with older age kids, if they feel like mom has spent some time with me, they're less likely to act out because they feel secure in knowing where their place is in the family. So that is it. Those are just some tips that I have of schooling multiple kids. It is not easy, but it's definitely worth it. And it is so much fun and rewarding to see how they progress and grow together. And just doing the one-room schoolhouse is really, really special and unique. And it is an experience that not many families get to experience. So enjoy it, my mama, enjoy it. If you haven't, check out my video of the homeschooling with a baby, also homeschooling with a toddler, where I go in specifically on how you can manage a homeschool when you've got little ones running around. If you have any ideas on homeschooling multiple kids, drop a comment down below about what's worked in your house and ideas of things that you'd like to implement. I would love to hear it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye, guys.